little details. It didn't work. In the last few weeks, opponents ran a campaign attacking all our weak points. We lost with 40% of the vote. Lesson 5, you have to compromise some. Don't ask for too much. Keep in mind, though, that we got more votes in Alaska than Gore and Nader combined. A lot of people voted for George W. and pot legalization. Alaskans are not like the rest of us. I haven't given up on Alaska. We're planning a new initiative for 2002. If we learn from our mistakes, maybe we can win this time. Lesson 6. I've almost given up on initiatives. I think the long-term path to change is through legislatures and electoral politics. I'm trying to form an organization that will oppose drug warriors and support drug reformers. I want to scare drug warriors into thinking they had better shut up about drugs, or a bunch of well-organized political pros will come into their districts with lots of money and kick their butts out of office. I experimented with this last year in California and Oregon. In California, I joined with other activists to run an ad in the West Coast New York Times opposing Senate drug warrior Dianne Feinstein. We didn't have any illusions of actually beating her. It cost millions to play in a California Senate race, and we had only a few thousand. But we made our statement, and maybe it made a little difference. In Oregon, I supported Mitch Greenlick in a race for the state Senate against drug warrior Bill Witt. Greenlick lost by about 1%. Even when my allies tell me I'm crazy. I have an opinion on all of these strategies. I can probably talk for half an hour. What is your policy for it during the campaign? How would you persuade people who are undecided or opposed to vote for it?
High-tech thing here. I think he told us last night he was the 5th employee at Sun Microsystems, so you can imagine that was the time to be there. And I think he got out at the right time, too. He was early open source author, something I know that means for high-tech people, something I don't understand. He co-chaired Cygnus Solutions, the Electronic Frontier Foundation, or co-created, I should say, the Electronic Frontier Foundation, which is a group that primarily fights to keep censorship off the internet. He has created the cyberpunks, the DES cracker, and the internet's alternate news groups. He spent 30 years doing programming, hardware and software design, management, philosophy, philanthropy, and investment. He is a board member of the Electronic Frontier Foundation, the Unisex Association, Code Weavers, and Request. His advocacy on drug policy aims to reduce the immense harm caused by current attempts to control the mental states of free citizens. His advocacy on encryption policy aims to improve public understanding of this fundamental technology for privacy and accountability in open societies. And I hope John is comfortable, I think you are if I say this, he's made an extraordinary commitment to ending marijuana prohibition. He has committed $1 million a year for 10 years. John Rose.
All right. Hey.
What else am I going to do with the money? I can't eat it, I can't smoke it. Might as well get some civil liberties out of it. Yep. Let's see. So, my goal in this is full freedom of thought. It's for us to control our own state of mind whenever and however we choose, using whatever tools we have available for that. And drugs are one way to influence our state of mind, but there are many other ways. And so far, the technology for influencing and controlling one's state of mind is really pretty bad. It's very gross level of control. But the technology is rapidly improving. We get better drugs every year for controlling different things, not just the illegal drugs, but the medical drugs too. I'm subject to having seizures, and there's a drug that just came on the market last year that is a lot better than the one they had me on before. Has a lot fewer side effects, and it makes my mind work better. There are lots of people working on even more detailed technologies for understanding how the mind works and altering how it works, both to improve it medically and also to make it more fun, to make it work better, to learn how brains work and how to make them work better. Well, I'm afraid that as this technology advances, that the government will have the right to use it to impose control on how people think. They're already exercising that by regulating the tools of how people think, by withholding those tools if they don't like how you think when you smoke marijuana or when you take LSD. And so far, nobody has really brought this issue out, that it's not the right to take a drug. We don't have the right to take a drug. What we have is the right to control our own mental state. And the drug is just a tool for that. If the government can tell us what mental states are appropriate and what mental states are illegal, it doesn't matter that we have freedom of speech, because they can control what we think before we say it. It doesn't matter that we have the right to vote, because they can control who we would vote for, right? What matters is that we establish a principle and get the populace to understand that these technologies can't be turned against our minds before the technology is there to do it. And I figure we have about 20 years or so. Given it's a rough estimate. It could be 15, it could be 40. But in either case, sometime in my lifetime, I hope, we're going to have to face this issue, and I'm hoping that we'll be prepared for it by having the public understand that what goes on in our minds is our own responsibility, our own authority. So, I'm not here to advocate for legalization or decriminalization, any of those things. My own strategy here is to advocate for to go on a different model. And there's a mind-altering drug that many of you are familiar with. Some of you probably have vast experience with it. But somehow society has come to terms with this and has come up with a pretty good model for regulating it. And I call it coffeeization. Right? Now, I understand there's a certain time of the day when the coffee bars close and people get in their cars after loading up with coffee. You really don't want to be out on the road, at like 8:30 or 9 in the morning with all of those people under the influence. But as long as they don't drink and drive, I think it would be okay to follow this model. That I think these other mind-altering substances should be regulated to the same extent as coffee. That if it's legal to drink it, then it should be legal to drink the other stuff. If it's legal to have a little, what do they call it, a coffee house, where you can go and consume it in a social setting with other friends, I think it's a good model. The Dutch, I understand, are following a model similar to this. So, and I think that one of the things I learned in this presentation is what drives the drug war is a lack of understanding. Another way to say that is the level of truth in the drug war is very low. Another way to say that is that there are a lot of lies being tossed around. right?